Good evening. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Getting things fired up here. Hope everyone's having a great night. This is Anonymous Live 78. We will be here for a couple hours listening to anonymous calls. Anyone can call in for any reason. We just ask you stay anonymous. Don't dox yourself. And we'll have a conversation. We are doing this from a brand new channel. We moved over from my main channel to give this stream its own place. And things have been moving a little bit more slowly than we're used to, which is really saying a lot, because that's the whole point of this stream, is to just slow it down and try to be good neighbors. So I guess that means we're succeeding. This is a labor of love, and we do this once a week at 10 p.m. Eastern for about 2 hours. There's also a Discord server that's an extension of this project. The link to that is in the video description. It's totally free. Doesn't cost you anything. And it's about 900 people in there or something like that. Just people wanting to... Sorry, I'm trying to get into my Google account so I can do this. But yeah, it's people go in there and hang out, play games. Some people use it to get community support. None of this is a substitute for therapy, of course. We're just trying to be good neighbors. And that Discord is free. I think I already said that. Google, what do you want from me? I'm trying to get into my account here. Here it is. If you're new here, this is not entertainment. This is not entertaining. We just kind of hang out here and create an open space for people to talk about whatever's on their mind. We realize that, at least I believe, people need a place. People need a wall to talk to. I think a wall can be very valuable to talk to, a human wall. So that's kind of what I do here with the chat. The chat and I just listen. And we're all a bunch of walls. We should have called this stream Wall Street. That would have been a great name. Kind of sends the wrong message, though. Being that this project takes nothing but time and money going into it instead of the other way around. It's been a while since I've said this, but should this project ever gain steam, the goal is to turn it into a nonprofit and make it a valuable partner or resource to other charities that are kind of aligned with the mission of Anonymous Live. So that is very much, this is kind of a charitable thing, I guess. Again, it's not entertainment. And it looks like I am ready to go. Phone lines are opening. I'm just getting my notes document ready. We do keep some notes on what we talk about here so we can make these calls available to others who might be going through similar things to find inspiration or motivation or just to feel a little less lonely. But again, no names, no locations, or you'll get toasted. And nobody likes toast. Not the kind we serve here. So don't dox yourself. Okay, yes, lines are open. As I said at the beginning, we have been getting off to a little bit of a slower start here on this new channel, naturally. But it's okay. It's okay. We'll wait as long as we have to. And here comes a call. Here we go. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey there, how's it going?
I'm all right. How are you tonight?
Doing pretty solid, I guess. I hope you're doing okay. Hope the chat's doing okay. So,
Yeah. Can we
congratulations
start
on
with your
moving
age?
the... Oh, yeah, sorry,
It's
27.
okay. 27. Sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, you're fine. I was just saying congratulations on moving the show to its own space. It's pretty exciting, and, wishing it the best for the future.
Thank you. I
I think it's
appreciate
a
that.
really good thing that you're doing.
I appreciate that. Yeah, this is a special project. Has a very special place in my heart. I hope to keep doing this for the rest of my life because we want to give people a space to talk. So what's on your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to take some time to talk about some things that are going on in my head and some things I'm trying to work through. Like I said, I'm 27, and I've just been going through a lot of stress and anxiety, a lot of depressive emotions for a good long while. There's just like so much going through my head, and it's difficult to sort through it all. But I think if I had to like summarize, it's just that I'm kind of burnt out on life, and like I'm bored at this point. I've finished college. I've gotten my job, and I feel like I've just like won at the game of life, but not in a good way. I feel like I've like finished all there is, and I've done all there is to do, and there's nothing left for me from here on out. And I know that's not true, but and I talk to myself about this, and like, well, if you feel like there's nothing else to do, you need to go out and do new things, try new stuff, get new hobbies, and but it's a double-edged sword because I find I don't have the energy or the motivation to go out and do new things, even though I know that that could be the solution to doing that. And
Right.
it's just been really hard to get out of my apartment and do anything other than stay home and just waste my time. And that's what I feel like I'm doing ultimately. I feel like I'm just wasting my time from here on out. And it's been really tough.
Do you exercise? Do you have good problems, interesting problems that interest you in solving in your life, like a cause that you're interested in, or something you care about that you could apply yourself to make the world a better place? And that's two questions, but yeah, I mean, do you exercise? Do you look for things to apply yourself into?
Well, no, I don't really exercise. I really ought to. My anxiety has driven me a lot of weight loss, and I'm pretty underweight. I really ought to start lifting more. I used to be quite built. I enlisted in the military, and I never finished training. I went to do the National Guard for about a year before being medically discharged for anxiety. I'm not sure if I should be sharing anything like that. No details. No
names,
about,
no
like,
locations.
The location of the armory or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, medically discharged for anxiety, and I was pretty well built at the time, and it's just been all downhill from there. I'm pretty underweight. I, again, just don't find the motivation to work out like I ought to. And in terms of doing good, that's a whole can of worms. But it's interesting that you bring that up, because recently I've kind of had a moment of reflection about wanting to help people, and I feel like that's something I really want to start doing, and it's something that I've never done before. I never took an interest in helping people up until like yesterday or the day before. It's kind of funny how that came about, actually. One of the things that I do like to do, one of my hobbies, is video gaming. I'm a big gamer, and I just finished, this might be a bit of a tangent. It sounds strange, but it means something to me. I just finished playing one of the Spider-Man games on my PlayStation, and it was a really great game and a great story, but I found myself very connected and resonated really well with the character of Spider-Man and the things that he was doing for his people of New York and wanting to help his community and make the world a better place and all that. I found it to be really, really inspiring. Not to say that I want to go out and be a superhero or anything, but things like helping my community and, because Spider-Man, he does things, he doesn't just fight villains, he goes out and helps with homeless shelters, and he betters his community and fixes people's problems. He's a superhero for the little guy, and I really appreciated the character that they put up in the game. I found it to be really inspiring, and I thought, I could do something like this. I could go out and volunteer. I could put myself out there and be of service to people.
That's right.
So that's certainly something that I have brought into consideration. In fact, I actually took some steps in looking into that today, which is nice.
That's great. Those sounds like two great goals. It sounds like maybe you just, did something happen? It sounds like you were on a specific path in life and you were going into the military, and I understand you were medically discharged. Was that like a stumbling moment for you? Did that cause you to stumble and like kind of lose the motivation you had before? Because you must have been pretty motivated before to go through training and stuff. I know that's not easy.
Yeah, that was years and years ago. But I think the moment it really started to, I started to exhibit like depressive traits was soon before and immediately after graduating college. Because like up until that point, in the narrative of my life, because a lot of us look at our lives as if they were movies or stories. In the narrative of my life, I had always had something specific to look forward to and to work for. It was college, and before that it was high school, and before that it was junior high, and so forth, and so on and on. There was always these like stages in my life that kept me occupied. And now that all of that is over, I'm basically cut loose. I'm out here in the big wide world. I've got my job and I've got my apartment and I'm stable, but now it's grown incredibly stagnant. And I feel like this is it. This is basically my life forever up until the day that I died. And I feel like I've plateaued and there's nothing left for me to do. And life has gotten to be really exhausting and really boring. I just don't know what to do with it anymore.
What's exhausting about your life?
It's
not doubting you. I'm just
routine.
Curious to hear you share.
It's routine. Routine is nice because it's stable, but it's very draining because it can get stagnant. And for me, it's the same day. I get up, go to work, come home, do my hobbies like play a video game, eat, go to sleep. And that has been my life since graduating college. And it's stable. I'm in an okay spot, but it feels like I'm not getting anything of value, and it's causing a lot of nihilistic tendencies and thoughts. Like none of this is worth anything, and like, what am I doing? What's the point? You know? So
yeah, I hear that.
I'm just in a rut.
A lot of people call in here talking about nihilism. If I had to guess, our three most regular topics that people call in with are dealing with narcissists, dealing with nihilism, and dealing with abuse. Those are like the three biggest things people call in, like just needing to vent about. And, with the nihilism stuff, I've been there. I know what that feels like. I'm not trying to compare our stories because I'm sure they're wildly different, but it's a common thing people struggle with, especially today because the world is such a weird time to be alive. And also, you're in your late 20s. It's a pretty normal time for people to kind of have like a quarter life crisis. I had one in my late 20s where I was just like questioning the world and like, slipped into some nihilism a little bit in the end of my 20s. I personally found the philosophy of existentialism to be really powerful in pulling me out of that. the idea that we give our life meaning based on our choices and our actions and what we care about, and we make that meaning every day. That for some reason really charged me to go get it, to go do. And I was not stagnating at that time of life. I've had a lot going on. I was very busy, but that thought helped me focus my energy in a way that that pulled me out of a funk, a cloud, a fog that I was in. So I don't know if that means anything to you, but also I want to touch on the inspiration you get from Spider-Man says a lot. A lot of those superhero characters, like I think a lot of people think that those are just like campy, dumb things that people watch. But they're built around, they're the closest things we have to like Greek mythology today. And I don't watch a lot of those movies. I don't watch a lot of anything. So I'm not dissing Spider-Man and saying that. I'm just acknowledging I don't know a lot about that world because I don't watch anything at all. But I'm just acknowledging that it's not, in my opinion, it doesn't sound silly. It sounded like you thought people were going to think it was silly that you have this immense appreciation for Spider-Man, but it makes sense. And you're right. Like, he is one of the superheroes that isn't just out like fighting bad guys. He's like a charitable figure, and that's inspiring. And what that tells me is maybe you resonate with that because that story is pulling you into being that same kind of figure. Maybe that would give your life some meaning. Who was it from the chat that said this? Aiden Yelsma said, maybe the caller could volunteer at a local hospital. I grew up going in and out of hospitals, and I always enjoyed when guests came in. It's a great idea. Volunteering anywhere. I can't remember where I heard this, if this is a quote that I'm about to butcher, or if it's just something a mentor told me one time. I think it was the latter. I think it was a mentor. That in life, when you feel the way you're describing, when you feel like you have nothing left to give, the best thing to do is to help someone, do something for free, give someone your time, give someone your attention, do something that will make someone else's life better. And what goes around comes around. And so it sounds like this story of Spider-Man is kind of pulling you towards some more meaningful experiences, which I would listen to that voice. It sounds like it's telling you something.
Yeah, definitely. I think it does resonate with me for a lot of reasons. One idea, I'm just guessing, is the idea that if I put my interest and my time into other people, it could get me out of myself and like get me away from my own head and out of my own. I don't know. Putting my attention and my focus away from me and putting it towards others could really get me out of my head, and it feels good to be good. It feels good to do good things for others, which is nice. To knowing that you've done something that makes someone's life better. I think you could really take a lot of pride, and it can make you feel really, really warm inside, which is something that I've never felt before. Up until this time, I haven't been tested or anything, but me and my brother both insist that we're at least somewhat sociopathic, and we have zero interest in the affairs of other people. But I don't know. That can't be completely true, because I think I would really enjoy helping people in some capacity. So it's definitely something I would like to try at the very least. And that could really help me get out of this whole nihilistic rut that I'm in.
Yeah, you don't sound like a sociopath to me. Of course, I'm not an expert. But Dr. Ramanita Vasala, whom I love so much, I don't know her personally, but she's amazing. She talks about how we all have narcissistic traits. Everybody does. They keep us alive. They're actually healthy to have some narcissistic traits. If you didn't have some kind of narcissistic trait, you wouldn't take care of yourself. You wouldn't have good hygiene. You might forget to eat. You might forget to procreate. You might forget not to walk out in front of oncoming traffic. So like there's a healthy dose of narcissism, but I don't feel like I'm talking to a sociopath. I don't feel like it sounds like I'm just talking to a guy who's in his late 20s dealing with some kind of quarter life crisis and asking some tough questions. And these are good questions to ask at your age. You're not alone. Eternal Light Pictures from the chat says 100% feeling the exact same. Age 28. So I think I think a lot of this is probably just developmental, and I think you're asking really good questions, and I think doing something for your community might give you that sense of value you're looking for. And you can still play your video games. There's nothing wrong with playing a video game in my mind. I like playing some games every now and then. But what I hear you saying is you want something to break you out of your routine, give you some adventure, and give you some sense of meaning in this world. In a world where you have to kind of find your meaning. We all have to do that, whether we find it in faith or a philosophy or just simple actions of, helping your community. Of course, like everybody has their own philosophy of why they do that. So maybe that is a redundant point, but the point is that we all do that anyway. We have to kind of commit to something with our every fiber of our being in order to justify doing something like helping someone for free or, anything charitable is a conscious choice, and it falls in line with our beliefs. So I think these are good questions you're asking. I think it's great that you can articulate it so well. And my gut says you're going to find what it is you're looking for.
I do hope so. It's definitely, I don't think I've had much in terms of my self-reflection and my ideas of possible solutions that have been as promising as this whole venture of helping people. So I've had, it's a bit of a side tangent, but I've had, in terms of this whole finding your purpose thing, has been extremely difficult for me because I have a horrible thing of like, I don't really know what I want, and I have the worst time trying to figure out my brain, and I can't trust my thoughts a lot. I'm an extremely conflicted person. Whenever I'm faced with a thought or a decision or an assessment, I'm like, is it because I'm like this, or is it because of like that? I can't tell, and it gets into this really horrible self-doubt, questioning spiral where I can't trust my thoughts anymore, and I don't know who I am or what I am. My thing about being mildly sociopathic, for example, when my grandparents died, both of my grandfathers, I attended both of their funerals, and I was fairly close to both of them, much more closer to one than the other. But for both of them, I felt nothing. I didn't feel a single twinge of grief or sadness. I was a blank slate the entire time, and I still am. When I reflect on their deaths, I don't feel anything because of it. And I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? There's either something going on, or I'm just really, really good at grief processing. And I'm really good at getting over it. I don't know. I can't tell. And that's just one of a multitude of examples of things where I can't tell what's going on inside my head. And it leads to a lot of doubt about my brain. It's very, very strange that I struggle with.
You sound like a really analytical
for another time.
person. No. That's a really good thought that I think probably a lot of people wonder about with themselves. But I want to repeat to you, I don't feel like I'm talking to a sociopath. I feel like I'm talking to a highly analytical person. So analytical that thinking is dangerous because it can lead to circular logic. You get trapped in these patterns where like you're describing, where you wonder if you can even trust what you're thinking anymore because you've overthought it so much. And I think that's just part of, I feel like I'm talking to somebody who's just highly analytical, and you think about everything. I would say maybe you might get some value out of, I resonate with what you're talking about, by the way. I've questioned things like that. I'll see something horrible and I'll just like analyze it. And I can very quickly, a lot of people mistake that I've been mistaken before, at least, for not caring about a situation because I can land on these like very cold solutions or like observations that other people don't seem to make. And but at the same time, so I'm struggling to articulate it back to you in different words, but I don't think I'm talking to a sociopath. I hear the voice of somebody who really cares. Here you are saying you want to do something besides just sit on your couch and play video games. You want to go apply yourself. You don't know where to start. Maybe it's because you really care about what you spend your time doing. And you don't want to just go do anything. You want to go do something that you think will actually have a good impact in the world. That's somebody who's not just analytical, but isn't going to waste their life. That's what I hear you saying. What I hear you saying is that you're not burnt out on life. What I hear you saying is, and I'm not doubting that you may feel that way, but I'm saying what I really hear, what's underneath that, to me sounds like you're burned out on just sitting around playing video games, and you're looking for something more. And that's not that is not a very sociopathic thought. There's a great book that came in from the chat. Who said this? Kyle E. is plugging Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Classic book, great book for dealing with nihilism and just, Man's Search for Meaning. You said something earlier. I'm putting this in the chat for you, by the way, a Goodreads link if you want to check out that book. That's a classic, very well-known book. It's like kind of a, introspective, philosophical kind of book. Might be a good thing for you to plunge into. But you said something earlier I want to touch on. You said that you were talking about why you want to do something meaningful. You were saying that you need something to pull yourself out of your own head and, make you think about others. And then you said that people tend to look at their life in terms of a movie or a narrative, like what's the narrative of my life. And that's something I've thought about too. And I just want to say, at least in one man's opinion, I think that's a really dangerous way to look at your life, because your life is not a movie. In fact, we live in a world bound by time, space, and entropy, and our actions have consequences, and it's not a damn movie. It's not movies are written to be entertaining or to make a point or to do a character study. It's not real, of course. I'm not saying anything new here. This isn't news. But the point is, like, I think you're right. I think a lot of people do look at their life as a movie, and I just wanted to say I think that's really dangerous because it's not accurate. It's a bad way to look at your life.
I agree completely. It is a thing that a lot of people go through, and I agree that it's something that you should try not to dive too far into, because the whole narrative thing can give you a kind of a complex that's very much centered on oneself, and it can give you a perspective of how time works and how your place in the universe works, and it may not work to your benefit. So if things don't end up working out the way that you had expected your personal narrative to, like, hey, in the story of me, this shouldn't have turned out that way. Well, newsflash, you're not in a story.
That's right.
So yeah, it's important that people don't fall into that, but it is something that I like to observe from time to time. And like the narrative that is my life, I feel like if you open up the book of me, we're at a chapter now where nothing else interesting happens for the rest of the book. And I'm trying to turn that around. But yeah, like you said, it's important not to try to avoid this whole narrative perspective if you can.
Yeah. It helps me to think about, because we live in a world that's bound by entropy, that means things are going to fall apart. Everything falls apart. Your body's going to fall apart. Your relationships will one day fall apart, hopefully only because you died, hopefully not because you pissed someone off or hurt their feelings, but everything falls apart in life, and unless it's maintained. And what makes humans special is that we're master problem solvers, better than anything else alive on this planet, at least. And so I like to look at my life as not a series of problems, because that's a really depressing outlook on life. But you need a good problem to give your life meaning. You need a good problem to sink your teeth into. Otherwise, life can seem meaningless. If there's a good problem, meaning a problem you're attracted to solving, or helping people overcome, or improving the world in some way, what better thing than a problem to give meaning to your life? So I think
that's really good, actually. Looking at things as a series of problems to overcome, and if those problems end up like helping other people and doing good for others, then that's just like a bonus.
Right.
It's engaging.
But I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we should look at our life as just problems, because we need to. No. I think that would be really depressing. I'm saying more than that. I'm saying the problems give us something to grow and overcome, a reason to grow and get better.
I think I think with those problems come accomplishments, and that's like the end goal.
That's right.
Yeah. So you can look back on your life and you can see these are the problems that I overcame, and this is what I accomplished, rather than these are my problems. You should look at it as these are my accomplishments.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, I like that idea. It's a good perspective to have.
Cool. I'm just scanning the chat. There have been so many good thoughts for you. There's a lot of good thoughts for you in the chat. You might check it out tomorrow when the chat replays up.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of good thoughts for you in here. What would make this a good call? Is there anything else that's on your mind?
There are a few things, but I don't want to take up the chat's time too much. I'd like everyone to have a good show and everyone to get their piece in. But I'll be sure to call back next week. I do have something else on my mind I'd like to throw your way, but that's a problem and accomplishment for another time. All right. I'll tackle this one for now, but I do appreciate what you have to say. I appreciate the chat and the chat's time. I am taking a lot away from this call already, so I already called this a massive success. So
great. What's one small thing you can do tomorrow to that you can accomplish tomorrow, however small that needs to be, to do that, that'll take you a step in this direction?
Well, I'm actually already in the process of registering with the United States Postal Service to be a Santa helper to, I believe it's to either answer letters written by children to Santa.
That's cool.
You go out and actually adopt one of the letters and you give a child something that they have requested on that letter. It's one of the two. I'm going to register with the United States Postal Service to actually start doing that.
Cool.
And, we have a homeless shelter here in my town that I'm going to call to see if I can volunteer for as well. So
that's great. Look at that.
I'm going to get the ball rolling.
That's awesome. Look at you go. Look at you go. Yeah. Let's applaud that. Yeah. That's great. Oh, the chat loves hearing that too.
That's awesome.
So great. Have a great tomorrow, and call again anytime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you in the chat, and have a great rest of the show.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay. Jumping right back into another one. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hi.
Hi. Can we start with your age and a brief intro?
I'm 25, and I have a family. I'm a father of two, and I am a disabled military retiree, and I recently moved back home after doing
a military life for a long time and tried to reconnect with my family, I guess. And after I joined the military, I kind of lost connection with everyone because I got put as far away from them as possible, and we weren't really close enough that anyone would ever come visit. And through that venture to connect again, I have just been having some really bad interactions that I can't stop ruminating on. And I just, it's par for the course with the people I consider my support system, so they don't really care. They take my feelings as trivial on this matter because they've already given up on my family. And I've still been having a really hard time processing, I guess.
So, what happened? Is that your family and you simply lost touch while you were away with the military, or did something happen that drove you apart?
I'll give a very brief context. When I was a child,
just no names or locations. I don't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When I was 1 year old, or less than one, my older brother overdosed and died.
My goodness.
Shortly after that, his funeral was held. And at his funeral, my mother and my aunt got into a very serious fight, from which my aunt was taken to the hospital for her injuries. That is all I knew. And from age, like, as soon as I could understand it happened until this year. That's all I knew. I knew that it happened. I recently came back and started to spend time with my cousins and their children, whom I considered to be like my nephews, because that's the relationship I've had with them. And out of the blue, one day, my female cousin looks at me, and I mean, as out of the blue as possible, we were on a fishing trip. It had just started. We'd been driving for 2 hours. And she looks me dead in the face while I'm driving and says, "I am so glad your older brother died."
My goodness.
And without anything, she just switches back to normal conversation after that. And I was pretty overcome by emotion, because that wasn't even something I was thinking about. So I just decided not to talk about it more while I'm the one behind the wheel of the car with 2 small children and her in the back.
Did your kids hear her say that?
Her kids heard. My kids weren't there.
I see.
Luckily. Later on that night after we returned, she explained to me that my older brother, who was maybe a year older than her, had been sexually assaulting her and her 2 sisters. They were all around, I want to say, if my older brother was 15, they were both 14, 13 years of age. Like that type. I honestly don't even remember how old my brother was when he died. But just how this connects, she said that they had told their mother when he died, and their mother decided to confront my mother in front of her son's coffin about these allegations at his funeral in front of everyone.
That's a lot.
And yeah, I didn't have this conversation at length with her because I told her I'd rather not hear about it. But later on, her children were talking to me, and they're preteen teenagers, like younger. They told me that constantly she tells them about him and how horrible of a person he was at random, just without any time my name gets brought up. Apparently, she would go on a tirade about my brother to them. And this was something that I didn't even get the chance to meet my brother. And this was the first time I've heard anything like this at all. But my young cousins were sitting there telling me about how much of a monster my older brother was. And it was something that was kept from me from my mother, because obviously this is the type of thing that it's their word.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother would never bring that up, obviously, because it caused her so much suffering in the first place. And I can't even talk to her about it. But since then, I've distanced myself from my cousin completely because of her disregard for how her words can make me feel.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going through a divorce now, and she calls me every day and tells me I'm the only person in our family who hasn't given up on her, and how I'm the only one she can trust, and how she needs to lean on me, and how I need to be there for her. And all I can do is be brief with her, because I don't know if she knows what she did was what she said to me could have been traumatic for me.
Right. Maybe she thinks because of what she endured that entitles her to say those things to you. And I don't know you, I don't know the people involved with the story, but it makes me wonder if that's what's going on. I don't know if, I know some people who are traumatized in that way, it can alter the rest of their lives. It can alter things about their personality. She might not have a slot for what that did to you, to hear when you heard her say that. She might not have a slot for that. I'm not saying it gives her a pass to say that to you, but I wonder if you've tried telling her that you wonder if she knows what that looks like from your perspective, being some 12, 13 years younger than your older brother, and having never met him, having only known him through stories. I wonder if a conversation like that would be possible in your mind.
There's the cousin in question is going through a lot right now. She was a recovered narcotic addict, and she's since started using again. She's getting divorced because on one of my little cousin's birthdays, her son, she told him that when he got home from school, she'd find him hanging from a rope in the living room because he was such a horrible son.
My gosh.
She's been trying, every time she talks to me, she tries to get me to agree how horrible her husband is, and almost gets me. She tries to get me to agree that if she files domestic abuse charges against him, I'll just consent, using the using the "you're the only person in this family who's still on my side or believes me." She tries to convince me that our whole family is wrapped around her husband's finger and she can't get away. She tries to tell me that she gets beaten terribly when the only thing I've ever seen firsthand is her strike her small children. Things like that. And the relationship, I thought, would get better because it was bad when I left for the military, and when I came back, everything seemed happy and everyone seemed to have their stuff together. And I've since watched the marriage fall apart and watched her degenerate into a really manipulative person, and it feels like all of her energy is targeted towards me. And I feel like maybe the comments about my brother were meant to break me down and make me more sympathetic towards her somehow, if you understand.
Yeah, I follow. That's what it sounds like.
And it's not that I haven't dealt with people like that before, because everyone has dealt with someone who has more use for you than just keeping you around. It's just a common thing, and it happens in levels, but I don't think I came back home expecting to have this much pressure on me, just trying to be in my family's lives. And that was my only intention, was just to be there, because I wasn't. But now I'm almost in the center of this, and it's just been very difficult, because as I said, everyone who I would consider in my support system has already written every member of my family off, to the point where they don't even see it as valid for me to be putting in effort. So they disapprove of me making myself vulnerable to them by being open to them.
Right.
So it's been something I deal with on my own. And it's just, lately I have just been stuck on how anyone could look at someone and say something to them like that out of nowhere. It's I think that is the most offhand thing anyone's ever said to me, and it's just making me dig through my mind to think if there's anything worse. And I've been finding things that compete and ruminating on those, and it's just been a little bit of a spiral lately.
David from the chat says to you that they say, I can't say this without caution, but if someone in your life, family or not, is trying to manipulate your emotions, it sounds like a relationship you should avoid. I was going to say a similar sentiment, that it at least sounds perfectly understandable why you've put this boundary in place. I can only imagine how difficult all of this is for you to learn about your brother and your cousin. It sounds like your cousin's life is falling apart. It's got to be really hard to watch too. Again, like, I'm not here to defend anything that your cousin said to you, because that's awful. In fact, I want to say, if you're stuck ruminating, you might, you got to find a way to pull yourself out of that. I don't know what the solution is. Dr. Ramani Durvasula has a bunch of great free YouTube videos on rumination, specifically for dealing with a narcissist. And I don't know your cousin or how relatable or not relevant these videos might be in your case, but you might check out Dr. Ramani's YouTube channel. I can put that in the chat for you. When I've dealt with rumination in the past, Dr. Ramani's work has gotten me through a lot of that. And I'm going to put this link to this YouTube channel in the chat. I'm not going to be able to, I'm sorry to say I won't be able to find the video in particular on rumination, but if you just go to her channel and search for rumination, you're going to find at least 5 videos on how to overcome rumination. So that's my first thing I want to say to you, that you got to find a way out of that rumination rut, because it's like a trap. It'll keep you stuck there. And at the same time, it sounds like you're processing a lot. And I'm not telling you to not process what's happening, because we kind of it's a difficult thing. When we go through things that are difficult and impossible, seemingly impossible to get out of, it can be tempting to ruminate, or it can be tempting to avoid thinking of it altogether. And I think we've got to do both. Like we've got to think about it and arrive at some closure for ourselves without getting stuck in the pattern of ruminating. And I'm not telling you doing anything wrong. I just hear it in your voice that you've been rattled by this. I can tell it's rattled you, and it would probably rattle me. I can only imagine. But your cousin sounds like she could have, she was, I guess that's what's so difficult about this, is that she was a victim too. And it makes me wonder how much of this degeneration, as you called it, is due to stuff she went through. And she might be, I guess what I'm getting at is it makes me wonder if there's hope for her getting better. If there's hope that she could apologize for saying that to you, even in time, maybe not right away, but like I wonder if she's capable of growth and healing, or if that's just how she is. That's the question running around my head. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not trying to be dark or seem like, or like trying to go anywhere extreme with his answer, but I see it as a really big possibility that she's gonna OD and die in the near future, because it's almost happened to both her sisters. It's almost happened to almost everyone in my family, especially the females, tend to suffer with terrible depression and then fall into substance abuse, and it's ended quite a few of their lives. And the fact that her support system is breaking down around her, and she started using again, the violent outbursts towards her family. I've tried to get her help. I've tried to redirect what she thinks. She goes to NA meetings once a week, and according to her, no matter what she does, as long as she goes to those, she's fine. But she's really repeating a pattern that I've seen before, and it sometimes there's an urge to blame yourself for things that happen in the future. There's that feeling of something's going to happen, and I knew it was going to happen, and I could stop it. I feel like that, but at the same time, I have tried, off of the topic of my brother, off of the topic of any of that, just tried to connect to her as a human and tell her and remind her of everything that happens around us and the things that have happened in our family. And she is very stalwart that she is a more powerful person. She is a stronger person than the rest of the people in our family, and something like that could never happen to her. But I have heard some very terrible things that she has done and said to the people that she loves. I've heard that she's threatened to kill herself just out of spite to her children, to her soon-to-be ex-husband, to her father, who is taking her ex-husband's side when it comes to her being the unstable one and deserving the kids through their divorce process, which has to be something that hurts. it has to be having your own father go to a divorce proceeding and say that your husband deserves your children more. And I understand that that stuff has to be weighing on her. I am just very tempted to completely disconnect, stop answering her phone calls, but I really don't want to get the phone call that she's dead and have that weigh on me. But it's something it's something that without someone else stepping in and taking the power away from her, I don't see as avoidable, because the only thing she uses as a coping mechanism is narcotics. That is it. And the whole time I've known her, I knew her when she was a devout member of Narcotics Anonymous. I knew her when she was going to a meeting every day, to where she didn't, but it was so she wouldn't have time. That's why she was doing it. She was scheduling her day immensely so she wouldn't have time to go find a dealer. She wouldn't have time to go get high.
Mm.
But now that's not her life anymore. She doesn't have that structure. And I'm just everyone around me tells me I should just give up and de-invest emotionally. If it happens, it happens. And that's a hard thing to do personally, especially for someone who really overthinks about their decisions like I do. And that's the decision that's been going through my mind, and the things that the personal slights towards me and towards people I care about, like my mother or like her kids, those things drive me towards that. But I don't know if I should keep trying to be a light for her and stay positive when she calls me on the phone, or if I should just stop answering.
Yeah, well, of course, that is one of the most difficult decisions in life that we can be confronted with, because it's a relationship. In your case, it's a family member that you care a lot about. Let's talk about something here. Let's address something. You started this call by saying that you're a disabled military veteran, and then the rest of the call, you've just expressed nothing but the distress you feel over what will happen to your cousin, who said some really nasty things to you, some very deeply hurtful things to you, not only just because they're words and they were nasty words, but because it was kind of like she was throwing that on you. It was kind of like she was accusing you of doing what your older brother did. That's what it kind of feels like. It's like she's wants to dump that on you somehow, but then also expect you to stick around and support her while her life is falling apart. My point is, I hear the voice of a really selfless person on the phone. You're not here complaining about your adventures in the military, and you haven't said anything about what happened to you in the military. This hasn't been about you at all. This whole call has been about your cousin, who has really hurt you. And you're distressed because you care about this person. And I just feel the need to acknowledge how beautiful that is. That is just incredibly gracious of you, and shows a lot of character and strength. This is the voice of a person who's been through a lot, I can tell. You've seen a lot of bad stuff. You've seen some things that gave you incredibly thick skin. And yet you haven't lost what seems to be an immense amount of grace that you were born with, or believe in, whatever that is that you have. My friend, it is beautiful. This dilemma that you have. It's not a beautiful dilemma, but the fact that you are wrestling with it in this way says so much about you. And the chat is kind of expressing this in a number of different ways. And it's a thought I have as well, that Um, it's also one of the hardest things in life to watch people deal with the outcome of their actions. But that's not on you. I know that you don't want to see anything bad happen to your cousin. None of us want to hear that something bad has happened to your cousin, of course. And that's what I hear is so difficult about this for you, is that you're really worried it's not going to end well. But I want you to at least believe that whatever happens to your cousin is on her, not you. And she's not right to put that on you, to say things to you like, you're the only person I have left. You've got to believe in me. First of all, she doesn't have that right, because she kind of lost it when she looked you in the face and said she was glad your brother died. That's kind of like, that had to be a shattering moment for your trust. So the fact that you're still here caring about what happens to this person, it says so much about you, and whatever happens is not on you. That is not on you. And I know it's got to be so hard watching her degenerate like this. But I do believe that there are people I've had to draw hard boundaries with in my own life, ask them not to contact me anymore. I fortunately have only had to do it with a very small number of people in my life. I hate doing it, but I've found myself up against so many people who clearly care nothing about me, who clearly don't, I'm just a means to an end. And that's not how I like to look at relationships. And so I'm not trying to make this about me, but I'm saying I understand what you're going through to an extent, and so far as the dilemma of, do I set a hard boundary with this person or not? Because nobody wants to do that. And not everybody has to go through that, fortunately, but some people do. And if I want you to hear me say that whatever you need to do will become clear in time. It will. You'll find it. You're clearly a bright, analytical thinker with a lot of feeling and care for the people close to you, even those who hurt you. And so I think you're going to find it. I think it's going to become clear what needs to happen. And I don't know if it helps to hear a stranger's voice say that I think you'll make the right decision. And I think that in time, this will get better, no matter what you decide. But I think that the rumination is really tricky. Your judgment will be clouded so long as you are ruminating on things she's done and said to you, and the ways in which her life is falling apart. I wonder what it would feel like for you to devote some time caring for you, asking yourself, what is it I need here? Have you done that?
I just got back from a nice vacation and getting away from everything. I believe the only reason that I didn't get over this is as soon as I got back, I got a phone call being invited to a family function, and kind of got guilt tripped for not going. I moved back to the area, but I still live 2 hours away from where they live. I made sure there was some sort of distance just because I didn't want my kids exposed to her unless I went out of my way to do it, if you get what I mean.
Right.
And I didn't want them exposed to really anyone in my family, because as I said, these are patterns that play over and over.
Do you have anyone in your family that hasn't been, that you can rely on? Like, how is your relationship with your parents and I don't know if you have siblings or not. I can't remember if you said that anymore. I know about your brother that's no longer with us, but I don't know, what's your family like? Do you have anybody You said your support system is kind of failing you, but who do you have?
My mother and I have a really wonderful relationship that sprouted from a really terrible abusive relationship, and I'm grateful for that. But she's given up on her entire family except for me. So she's
So you have your mom.
a part of this I can't go to. My father is caring but distant, and we don't really have any emotional connection, but he's more of I think this year we finally got to saying I love you before we hang up on the phone for the first time in my life. So that's on the ups.
That's good. That's good.
And then I have a little brother, but he's only a half brother, and he hates our entire family with a passion, just because my mother's abuses didn't get past his he stuck with it. He hates my mother, and he hates her entire family for the patterns that play out and what happened to him as a child because of it, because of the way that she was raised and because of the way that she decided she was going to raise her children. So he's not really someone who he almost finds the drama funny, because my cousin tries to lay some weight on him as well for being like a witness for police calls and stuff like that, but he's as far from bought into having an emotional investment, so he just thinks it's funny that she tries to manipulate him.
Right.
And like I said, I have no one who cares to even lay out my feelings. I feel so much better just being able to give you the situation and give you some of my perspective on it and see that you agree that there's no clear answer, and that it's something that time will unfold for me, and this is more of me reacting to other people's decisions, and there's no need for me to be an active party in this, because it's, at the end of the day, whatever happens isn't on my shoulders.
That's right.
That's the first time I've ever been able to honestly sit there and say that, just because when I try to talk it out with someone, they're instantly on the side of, I don't want you being a part of this at all. So I never was able to get to that point, because every time I sit there and think about it alone, it takes me down a rabbit hole and just leaves me feeling sad and like I've made no progress with the time I spent thinking.
That's right. That's why rumination is so dangerous.
I think that almost like I've had so many experiences with therapists, and the ones that let you lead are the ones that you really get the work done. And
That's right.
I didn't want therapy from someone. I wanted someone to let me lead and kind of bounce those thoughts back. Let me hear them in someone else's words. Did I really say that? Am I really thinking that? And that's an experience I think I didn't have until tonight, which thank you very much for.
I want to thank you for your service, and for being real here. I also, when I hear from callers like you who've had traumatic experiences in the military or reintegrating after service, I talk about this book, Tribe. Are you familiar with this book by Sebastian Junger? I have it right here.
I believe I have had it recommended to me before.
Great book, very easy read. Look, I'm showing you here on the stream. I don't know if you have it open, but it's a very short book. I think it's like 114 pages. Excellent book. This book, I bought this book because it was recommended to me, and I've got a lot of military family. And it's a book about reintegrating, the perspective of reintegrating after seeing stuff in the military. This is 135 pages, so it's very easy read, and it just gave me so much to think about, and just like blew the lid off of the container for information on that I had on what it's like to be in the military. I'm not claiming that I know now because I've read this, but it gives me a lot of appreciation for what people like you have gone through. And so I thank you for that, and I thank you for sharing tonight. I'm glad that you feel a little better. Just venting. Sometimes that's all we need, is just to vent a little bit. And wishing you the best. What would make this a good call? Is there anything else that you need to say or want to bounce off the chat and me?
I think I'm going to leave tonight with progress on a problem instead of going any further and dredging up something else. I think that's my problem, and nothing's tugging on me immediately, and I can let something tug on me, but I don't want to. I want to end this night happy and go to bed with a smile.
Good. Great. I think that's a great answer. And I hear your what sound like some adorable kids in the background throughout the call. So you seem like a very loving, caring dad. Wishing you and your family the best. And call again anytime.
Thanks. Have a nice night.
You too. Good night. Wow. Very productive night tonight in terms of people calling in. Guys, I'm going to take a very short break after that call just to clear my head and give everybody an opportunity to do the same. I'm going to go do a foam roller speed run and do some breathing and just clear my head. Great time for everybody to take a little break. Be back in like 2 minutes or less. Coming right back. And I've lost my intermission thing since we changed over to this new computer for streaming. Let's see if I can impromptu make a title that says we're on a short break. Of course, it'll invariably end up taking me more time to make the intermission text than it will to take the intermission, but at least we'll have it for future streams. I'm going to make this on the fly. Oops. You guys are getting a behind the scenes look at my awful typing. And that's way too big. Let's try like... Oop. Where'd it go? Oh, now that's too small. Now you're too small. I made you too small. Come here. Let's go up a little bit. That's good enough. That looks good. All right. 2 minutes. Okay. We are back. I'm going to put this book away. Diving right back in. Hello, thanks for calling.
Diving right back in.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, thanks for calling.
Oh, hey. Hi. Sorry, the stream was a little late.
It's okay. Can you turn your speakers down? I'm getting some feedback. Turn them off, please,
Are you
actually.
good now?
Just turn the speakers off. That'll probably be the best thing because it'll cause feedback. Can we start with your age and a brief intro?
Yeah, I am 21. And
Okay.
basically, I am a freelance business owner.
Okay.
And basically, like, I just have issues with getting distracted on my phone day to day. Just like mindless scrolling really kills the productivity. And watching you throughout my years, like, have you ever experienced these things? Like, I remember you took a break for quite some time, maybe just on the YouTube side of things, but, like, have you ever experienced social media just, like, really killing your day-to-day?
Definitely.
Like, have you ever experienced social media?
Can you turn your speakers off? I'm getting some feedback.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, social media can be, I mean, I like social media. I've taken many breaks from it. What I hear you saying is you're struggling with some time management, procrastination, getting distracted. And yeah, I really feel for people your age because when I was 21, there was like some social media, but not like it is today. When I was 21, I don't even think most parents were on Facebook at that time. And now, like, it's just basically all parents. it's all boomers now. And my point is, yeah, distractions are everywhere. We got to be careful. I used to have a flip phone I would turn on for half of the year. And during that time, I wouldn't do any social media. And I really liked doing that. I still would do it if it wasn't so hard to use a flip phone now. It's so hard to use a flip phone now. Like the one I used for years ended up, it's not even supported anymore because all the cell towers have changed. So it's like getting increasingly hard to use a dumb phone. And the point is that, yeah, like this, the world wants our time. The world is constantly trying to soak up our time and our attention. And we have to make a conscious effort to break out of that when we feel we're scrolling aimlessly or, you know, like what is it we're looking for when we do that? We're looking for a little dopamine hit. And I know that's something a lot of people your age struggle with because you've grown up with it. I didn't grow up with it, so it's been pretty easy for me to take breaks as needed. But I really feel for people in your generation because I know that's a very tricky thing for a lot of people. But you got to find the willpower to suck yourself out of that. Whether that's a hard boundary by like getting a flip phone and turning it on for a certain time of the year, or having hard rules around when you're going to allow yourself to go on social media and scroll around. You're going to have to find some kind of rules or some kind of mechanism for that boundary because it won't create itself.
No, exactly. Yeah. And also, I just wanted to make a quick apology. This is my very first call-in. So, like, yeah, sorry for the feedback and everything earlier. But I just wanted to make one more point, and then I will definitely hop off here. Or just, like, one more question. But, you know, when I do get off the phone and I feel like it is time to go full throttle ahead, really engage, I do find myself very scatterbrained on, like, what steps I need to take professionally, or honestly, it's like just
regular passion project videos. It's like I can't make a single video by myself in a room. Like, you know, I watch Bo Burnham's Inside, and it's just like, how in the hell did he do that, you know? But apart from that, it's like I never know what avenue needs to be taken for my business. Don't really know how to market myself, get myself in front of more people, because I'd really love to pivot my business to where I'm creating more corporate-driven video. But I find myself more on movie sets. Well, not movie sets, more like commercial sets nowadays, doing like grip lighting stuff. But I just want, I don't know, I feel like it's time for a change.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, have you ever battled the whole, like, being overwhelmed by yourself?
Can you describe that another way? Being over, is it like not liking yourself, or?
Oh no, just like being overwhelmed by like getting in your own way, I guess. It's like it seems like I need like a roadmap of like what my next step is, but I can never seem to just buckle down on one idea.
I see. Sounds like you need some structure in your life. Sounds like you need maybe a routine. Maybe you need to commit to some kind of routine. Wake up at the same time, devote a few hours to your projects in the morning or at night, whenever is best for you. Devote some time to exercise, devote some time to eat a good meal so that you're not just scrambling thinking about what you're going to eat. That way, you know, you're getting good food, and that good food will give you the energy you need to do all those other things. What we eat is so important. You know, this isn't a career advice show, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about your career, but I think, no, it's not a problem. I'm just being clear that, like, it would be very irresponsible of me to come on here and talk to strangers for just a few minutes about their careers.
Sure.
There's a place to bounce ideas around, and happy to, yeah, it's not what I'm hearing you say, is that you need some structure in your life. And I've found, it can be very productive to schedule your creative time or your writing time or whatever it is your craft is. Devote time for that in your calendar every day, and do it at the same time. Find a time that works for you, and commit that time to that action every day. 3 hours, 4 hours, you know, give it a good chunk of time every day. So you're practicing, you know, it's a muscle, you're exercising every day.
Great. Well, hey man, I hope that didn't come off as like, please give me career advice. What the answer that you just gave me was like, you know, absolutely what I'm looking for. So
great. Yeah, there's no problem. I just trying to be very clear. I could maybe get in trouble if it would be very reckless of me to do that, I think. So I'm just being clear. There's no problem.
Well, you take care, and thank you so much.
Good night. Okay, chat. I think we can get to one more call tonight.
Okay.
Hello, thanks for calling. Can you turn your speakers down?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Awesome. Great. Yeah. Can we start with your age and a brief intro? No names or locations.
Yeah, I'm 24.
Okay.
And I guess I'm mostly just looking for advice on how to move forward. Like a slight, like, not descriptive background. I have autism, schizophrenia, I have seizures all the time. And so because of that, I work with my parents on a farm that they own. So I am definitely blessed to be able to have that. But there's been a lot of things going on that have just kind of not added up, and it's been making it seem like I'm being lied to about what's going on. Like, I was supposed to have moved out onto the farm, but I've been given the runaround about different things, and it's been made to me, like, it seems like my dad is the one that's been lying to me. And I have a large medical background. Since a baby, I've been going to the hospital all the time. So, and my mom is the one that's always taken me. So we have a great relationship, but it's kind of just falling apart now because the lies that she's been telling me, that my dad has been saying, it's now become apparent that my mom is the one that's been lying to me. And I just found this out yesterday. And she's been pretty much degrading the relationship that me and my dad have been, trying to resolve. And she's been just, reinforcing everything that I've been feeling, that, oh, what he's been saying doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, he's lying to you. And she's the only person I trust anymore. So I just gave her the benefit of the doubt, like, yeah, it makes sense. I guess that's true. But now that I understand what's actually going on, it's become apparent that she's the one that's been lying to me. And I'm just kind of struggling at how can I even face the fact that the one person in my life that I still trust 100% is the one that's been trying to destroy the last good thing in my life. And, the thing that's been going on is I've become slightly, not suicidal, but I've had suicidal tendencies about just nothing has been going correctly. And the one thing that has been seeming to go right, and the only people that have been helping me in things to go right, have been completely lying to me and trying to destroy, it seems, the things that have been going correctly. And I've kind of just lost all hope in life as a whole, because that's the only person in my life that I felt that I could trust, but now I understand I can't trust that person, so there's no one in my life anymore that I have any trust with. And I just don't know how to even move forward with that, because I spent a lot of time trying to rebuild the relationship, and it started to work out. But now that I know that the lie, because I knew that there must be something that I'm misunderstanding in that relationship. But where I was starting to understand that, that's when I started to get the real knowledge of, no, my parents are just lying to me to just shut me up on different things. And I've told them several times, this is my last attempt to try to understand life as a whole, because I honestly just, it's not that I don't want to live a good life, but the way that life is now, and I don't even have anybody that I can trust anymore, I'm just kind of, I just don't feel like there's any reason, I guess, for me to even continue on. Because if the one person that I thought I could trust has been lying to me this entire time, then, like, how could I even trust anybody, or how could I even move forward in that? If the one person that I trusted is lying, then how could I find someone else? If I do trust a new person, there's no way that I'll know if they are lying to me or not.
Yeah, I hear
and
that
I'm just kind of, I just don't understand how I could even continue on in this type of life.
My friend, you are struggling with a lot. I don't know what that's like to have parents lying about each other. But I hope it at least comforts you knowing that you're not alone. Someone in the chat is reaching out to you. Kai, Lucas, Zachary says to you, as someone who's had parents lie about each other, this is a very difficult situation to be in the middle of, especially when you've got your own disorders. And so I want you to know at least you're not alone in this, that there are people out there who have had to navigate this kind of stuff. I hope it gives you some level of comfort knowing that it is possible to find a way out of this. I Don't have the answers. I don't have all the answers. I'm not an expert in pretty much anything, just a guy who's been through a lot. And I'm happy to hear you out and let you vent, let you think out loud. And you can bounce things off the chat and me. We're happy to be a sounding board. It sounds like is it that you think a lot of people are lying to you, or is it you're suspecting it's one of your parents only? Is it a lot of people in your life you think the lies are coming from, or just one of your parents?
Well, I kind of have PTSD from mostly high school, from a lot of things that have happened, and me putting trust in people, because I've always been a very trusting person. I've always, to a fault, put a lot of trust in people, but I've been completely messed up by people that have recognized that I put complete trust in them just because I trust people. And so I've been completely screwed over in, very severe ways. Like, I've been jumped by a few people because I trusted them, and they completely, just jumped me completely. But there's a lot of people in times that I've put full trust into people, and I've just been completely disregarded about that. And so I guess I have, slight, just complete trust issues because of that. But I also just, with my parents, because of that, I was starting to feel that my dad was lying to me, and it was just me, thinking about it myself. But now that I finally started to talk to my parents about it, the lie, I would talk to my mom about how I feel my dad is lying to me, and she would give me different things about confirming the fact that I think that he's lying to me. But now I understand that those things I was talking to my mom about, she was actually just lying about those things, confirming those. And I honestly just don't even know how to process that, because that was the one person that I felt that I could actually speak to about the struggles, different struggles. And now I understand the one person that I honestly felt that I could trust, I can't trust that person. And so these trust issues I've been dealing with, that I thought she was maybe that one person that I could actually grow myself from, it just kind of it was like the nail in the coffin, I guess. And now I'm just, I've always dealt with suicidal tendencies, but she was the one person that I had to walk me and help me through those. But I don't even have that person anymore. And I guess I'm just kind of at a crossroads. Do I keep trying, or do I just say screw it and just go however I feel like I want to go? I just don't know where to go.
I'm so glad you're calling and talking about this. This is a lot. I can hear the confusion in your voice. I can hear that you're really deeply struggling with this. Kai, Lucas, Zachary says something else to you. They say, at a certain point, you have to just believe in yourself when you can't trust the people who were meant to keep you safe. And I think that's very well said. Losing trust in a parent is really difficult. There's a book I'm thinking of that might. Do you like reading? Would you check out a book if I'm not telling you to buy it, but am I wasting your time if I mention a book?
No, I like reading.
Okay, good. So there's two books I'm thinking of. These are books on how to deal with people that are dishonest or cheaters or liars. There's a book called Should I Stay or Should I Go? Surviving a Relationship with a Narcissist. It's by Dr. Ramani Durvasula. She's a psychologist. This book has saved my life more times than I can count. She is amazing. Give me a second. I'm giving you a link that you can check it out with. And I will put it in the chat for you so you don't have to make notes or anything. I'm not calling your parents narcissists. I'm not even qualified to do that, nor do I know them. So it would be, I'm just trying to be clear. I'm not saying your parents are narcissists, but this is a book that can help you spot some red flags for narcissism. That's what this book is intended to do. And here it is going in the chat for you. Very enlightening book on the subject of narcissism and how to deal with it. It's you got to know, it's kind of marketed towards being in a romantic relationship with a narcissist, but it applies to any kind of, don't be fooled by the marketing of the book, the packaging and stuff, and the words on the front. It's a great book, whether you have a parent who's doing this to you, or a boss even, or a friend. And that's a book I would definitely recommend checking out. It's a very empowering book. This is a book where when you finish it, if you are in fact dealing with somebody, some type of psychopath, then this book is going to leave you feeling very empowered. It can be debilitating when the people who are supposed to love and care for us betray us. That is one of the most destabilizing things a person can go through. So again, I'm really glad you're calling and talking about this, because others need to know that they're not alone. You need to know you're not alone. And people need to know that there are steps you can take to heal after things like this happen. I don't want you to give up hope. I don't want you, none of us want to hear that you're giving up on life. You're going through a lot. I hear that. But I'm trying to give you hope. I'm trying to give you a little bit of a pep talk so that you don't lose faith in yourself. Okay, so this second book I'm thinking of is called Psychopath Free: Recovering from Emotionally Abusive Relationships with Narcissists, Sociopaths, and Other Toxic People. This is a book by Jackson McKenzie. In my opinion, this is a great second book to read after Should I Stay or Should I Go? I probably wouldn't read this one first. If you're going to check either of them out, I would start with the first one I sent. And then if you get to the end of that book and you're like, wow, that was on point for me, then the second book, Psychopath Free, would be a great second book, because it gets really granular. The second book goes into a lot of detail. So I wouldn't read it first because it might be a waste of time. But those two books have meant so much to me at different times in my life. I've dealt with people like this that are supposed to be there to love and care for you, and I've been betrayed. I know that is not easy. What you're going through is not easy. It's one of the most difficult things a person can go through, and I'm so sorry to hear that you're going through that. I think it's really healthy that you're talking about it. I wonder if you have access to therapy. Could you get into a relationship with a counselor? Maybe even a psychologist that's a counselor would be good for you, because you have some disorders that you're working with. Do you have access to that?
I was going to therapy for a while, and my mom was the one that was taking me back when I was going, but honestly, I'm not sure if I could even trust her to take me to therapy anymore. Like, even if she, like, it'd be a lot harder to find the time these days to do it, but even if, like, we could find the time, it's just, I feel like being around her now that I know what's been really going on, I just feel like it would probably just completely, like, shadow everything that I might have even talked with a therapist, because, like, I've always been someone that's very, if I think something, then it's hard for me to not think it, if that makes sense. And it's just, I don't know. I'm just completely stuck on how I could even think about it, let alone like talk about it to people. Like, I'm struggling to even find the words right now, to be honest. But I told her I was at the end of my road and that this is my last attempt. And she knows all the stuff that I've been through, because she's been the one to take me through those things, through all of that. I've been to the mental hospital like 4 times, but she was the one to take me every single time. And now that I know that, she was the one in the end that's been just completely lying about stuff, which I don't know how long that's been going on. It might have just started in the past year or so, but like now that I understand this, it's just like, damn, I'm just kind of, I can't even think about it without like just like starting to shake, and I'm kind of just stuck now.
You're scared. It sounds like.
Yeah. Because I can't even, like, I can't drive. I haven't driven for 3 or 4 years because of my epilepsy. I can't do a lot of things because I have cancer. I have a lot of different things that have just completely inhibited me, and that's why I work on the farm with my parents. But now that, like, they've been helping me, but it's been, like, almost like a false narrative that they've been giving me while they're, like, it's almost like they're just trying to shut me up, because I would constantly hit them up before I started working at the farm. I would constantly just be like, I don't know what to do, like, just looking for, like, some type of answer, and, like, not even just an answer, just, like, a response. But now that I know that the ones that I thought were trying to help me, she's the one that's lying to me. And it's just, like, she knows that, like, I've told her that, because I used to be addicted to heroin because of all of this stuff, and I started to get, my doctors had me prescribed to Xanax for years and then took it away. That's when I started to get on heroin because of the withdrawals from the Xanax. And that's when I just started to stop. When I was really on heroin, that's when I was really just like stopping to care. But then I decided I need to get off of it because I'm about to start working on the farm with my parents, and I'm not going to be able to have access to the heroin. So I know I was going to go through withdrawals, and that's what actually caused me to get off of it. But after a couple of years of working on the farm and going through different things, I started to talk to my mom, just trying to open up and let her know that, yes, this might be my last time trying, and I'll probably end up just getting back on heroin until I overdose. And she ended up just saying it was the first time she ever said something that was not just something that was trying to be sympathetic. And I'm not saying that I don't need something that isn't sympathetic, but she said that, she can't stop me. But if that's what I do, then that's what I do. After I told her that I'm probably going to end up just overdosing myself. And it was the fact that she was just so willing to just almost shrug it off and say that if that's what you're willing to do, then do it almost. That's what it felt like, at least. And, like, I want to say that I know that's not actually her saying it, and that, like, she's just, like, hurt herself. And I know that I was hurting her, and it would hurt me that I knew I was hurting her. But at the same time, she still said that, and it's just like if I really do overdosing myself, will it even affect her? And it's like, that's the one thing that just kept me from actually doing it, was because that I knew I would be hurting my family. But it seems like it might not even hurt my family. It might make it easier on them, because I won't be there to cause these struggles for them anymore. And
Well,
I just don't know if I should or not.
Listen. If you were gone, would it affect your family? Absolutely. Now, it sounds like I'm trying to be very careful here, because I realize what you're talking about is very difficult. Is it possible your mom said that in that way, and she was kind of cavalier and brushed it off when you said that you might overdose one day? Is it possible that she said that because she was scared, because you've been down that road before, and maybe she doesn't know what else to say? Now, I realize you're going through some trust issues with your mom, so I'm not discounting that. It also seems like you've had some confusion about where the lies are coming from. It makes me wonder what it is that is so confusing. What is it that you think is being lied about? I realize you feel your mom is trying to break down your relationship with your dad. What kinds of lies are? Don't get specific. We don't want to hear names or locations. We do that for you. We give you anonymity here, so no names, no locations. But what is it that your mom is lying about, or that you suspect? What are the suspected lies? Can you give us an example?
Yeah, I don't want to, like, the lies, after everything I've just mentioned, I know the lies are going to seem, like, completely mundane and just like, what the hell, but it's just what built up to what's going on now. But a lot of it stemmed from when my parents told me that I was, like, that they wanted me to move out here and start working on the farm with them after, like, I started, my epilepsy got worse. They gave me the opportunity to move out onto the farm and then move into this cabin that was on the farm, and just a whole bunch of different things that just started to not add up. Like I live in an apartment probably about 10 miles from the
Easy,
farm.
no locations, no locations. I'm getting nervous. I know you I can tell you didn't name a location.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah,
I don't want to hang up.
Right. But
Go ahead. Sorry.
they kept saying, like, my dad specifically, he would say, like, a whole bunch of different things about how, you know, I'll do this to see about you moving out within the next week or the next 2 weeks, and I don't want to make it seem like, oh, I'm just like a little spoiled kid about, like, moving out. But what was bothering me was I kept getting told that, yeah, we'll do this or you'll be able to do that, but nothing that I was being told added up. And after like a year of that, it just felt like I was just being lied to. And it wasn't the fact that I wasn't being allowed to do the stuff. It was the fact that I was just being lied to, that it just started, you know, compounding and hurting. And that's when I finally opened up to my mom, and I was just like, you know, the different lies that I've been told about being able to come out and work on this, but then nothing ends up, like, for 2 years, nothing actually made sense on anything that I was being told. So I finally opened up to my mom about it, and she would confirm every single thing, like, yes, your dad has been lying to you about moving out on the farm. The cabin never actually existed. She told me, like, yeah, like, all of that stuff that your dad said, he was just saying that to just make you silent for as long as he could. And I was just like, damn, okay. And she said, yeah, I don't know why he's been trying to separate your relationship, but he's just like, screw it. But now that I started to talk to my brother about this, and my brother and my dad have a somewhat of a decent relationship. He told me, I just don't know why she would even, like, said that, because none of that's true. And I just found out 2 days ago that the cabin actually does exist, because my mom was saying it doesn't even exist. So, like, it's just a straight lie. But now that I know the cabin does exist, I know that all of the stuff my dad had told me, it wasn't a lie. He really did want me to do this. And so now the relationship between me and my dad has actually been getting a little bit better.
That's good.
But the lies that my mom was saying to pretty much just completely destroy our relationship, even though she was the only one that I had a relationship with, I'm just kind of like, I don't know even how to think about that, because, like, it's one thing that, like, I knew it was hurting me how much I knew that I was affecting my parents with how much I was, you know, coming off as just like an affected person, but there was nothing I could do about it at the time, I thought. But now that I know this, and that I've just been getting lied to, I'm just, I don't even know. Like, I'm to the point where I've been going on the internet, like onto the deep web stuff, looking up at the prices of different drugs that, like, I know for a fact could end my life, to the point where, you know, I might just order it, not to just instantly overdose, but with the knowledge that once I get addicted to it again, it'll be over for me, because there's probably not going to be anything that'll inspire me to get off the drugs, because the only thing that got me off the drugs was moving out here. But if the fact that I'm, you know, just everything about here moving out is just like destroying any relationship I had, it's just, it's kind of just life shattering to me. The one thing that I had is just been completely tossed into the trash, and like almost like my mom is laughing at me for how she had me convinced that I had somebody that was with me. But everything that she's been saying for the past, I don't even know how long it's been she's been lying to me, but she's definitely been lying to me about stuff. And the one thing I can find from this that has grown at all is the relationship of me and my dad. But I can't even say that it's made it into like something that I could find something with, because it's kind of just created a relationship back to where it was from square one, which it was never a good relationship, but it was never a bad relationship, but almost just like a stranger relationship. And my mom has always been the one that, you know, I've had someone that's good in my life that actually even like somewhat acknowledges what I'm going through. And my dad, you know, he's always just been someone that, you know, goes to work and then comes back and goes to sleep. So like, I appreciate the fact that he's always kept, you know, his family in check, but, you know, we've never had that relationship, and he's not the one. Like, I've tried, and he's just not the type of person that wants that relationship. So it's just, I've tried to create the relationship within myself, but every time I start to get to that point where I feel like I'm thinking about things enough to where I might be able to work out some stuff, and then my epilepsy, I don't know if it's like, I'm not saying this is like medically related, but I've noticed personally that when I start thinking about things a lot, that's when I start having seizures more often, and then I have a lot of head trauma from those seizures, and it's completely destroyed my memory, and I don't remember at least 50% of my entire life anymore. And I can't even process a lot of things anymore, because sometimes I forget even like my birth date. Like I forget, like I've been asked that when I went to get my license renewed, and I had to like actually look up on my phone what my birthday is. Like my memory is just completely just gone, and it's now I just like I told my mom that I was starting to feel that I could be gaslighted so easily upon everything. And after I told her that, that's when she started gaslighting me. And that was the one person that
I want to slow it down just for your sake.
About.
I want to slow it down just for your sake, because I hear you are wrestling these racing thoughts. And these thoughts are racing through your head. I hear that. I don't know what it is you need, but I do know, I don't know what it's like to have epilepsy, but I've known people who've dealt with epilepsy and grand mal seizures, and I've heard them say exactly what you just said, that when their mind starts racing, that's when the seizures happen. And it makes sense, because epilepsy is a condition where you have more electricity in your brain than is average. And I would guess that means it allows you to think through things really quickly. But I'm sensing for you that it might be a really good practice to begin meditating. None of us here in the chat want to hear that you've gone back to the drugs. Nobody here wants that. Your parents don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want to turn back to those drugs. It's a dead end.
I really don't.
It's a dead end. And I wonder if meditating might bring you some sense of peace. You know, I hear you're torn between these like lies. And lies have no power over you unless you give it to them. Who was it that said this from the chat? Kai Lucas Zachary seems to have been in some similar dilemmas. They've had a lot to say during this call. They say to you, first of all, they say, many people have struggled with the same question you're asking. Will it affect anyone if I die? And right now, you're affecting people by calling, by sharing here. You are, and I agree, you are affecting people. Your life makes a difference. I hope that this call gives other callers who may be in a similar situation some hope, some sense of peace in knowing that, yes, this world is crazy. Life is crazy. And you have been through a lot, my friend. You have been through so much. You have lived you've lived through a lot of stuff. And you don't want to go back to where you came from. You want to go forward. And there is a way forward. I realize you're dealing with a lot. I realize you have a lot of struggles and limitations that you're up against. But Kai Lucas also said, I can't find this chat from earlier, but they said, oh, here it is. Taking sides isn't always healthy. It's a tactic used by others. And I think that's right. That's kind of what I'm saying when I say these lies have no real power over you unless you give it to them. You might, have you ever considered meditating? Doing some, if I suggested a guided meditation resource, would you check it out? They're not free, but they aren't expensive. And I personally really like these guided meditations. Would you look into it if I sent you a link?
I've tried meditating a couple times in my life, but every single time I've tried, it started to just, I guess, like reinforce the constant racing thoughts that I always have. And it's just like, that's when my heart starts to race really fast when I would try to meditate, and they would just like, it just seemed almost impossible, to be honest.
Have you ever tried one with a human voice guiding you through it?
No.
This resource I'm talking about, it ought to be called Meditation Made Easy, because that's basically what it is. You pop in these headphones, and I'm talking about the work of Bella Ruth Naparstek. She's amazing. She's a psychotherapist. I'm putting the link in the chat for you. I've used these. These meditations have meant a lot to a lot of different people in the Anonymous Live community because, again, it makes meditation so simple. It takes all the work out of it. All you have to do is find a nice, calm, quiet area, put some headphones in, close your eyes, maybe light a candle, and just listen and breathe slowly. And there are all these guided meditations that Bella Ruth does have different themes. There's some for recovering from alcohol and drug addiction, for example. That's right on the homepage. It must be one of the more popular ones, people trying to overcome that temptation to use again. That one might be valuable for you. There's one on fighting cancer. She has one devoted to surviving cancer. And none of this is like medicine, of course, but it's like a mindset. It's a mindset she helps people arrive at. And I think that right now you're dealing with a lot of you're dealing with a lot of outside influence from your parents, and you're confused about where these lies are coming from and what they mean. And that's why I'm talking about meditation right now, because you have power over this stuff. It might seem confusing, but you have power over it. And you can exercise your brain through meditation. That's what I kind of like to think of it as, an exercise. There's another one on anxiety and panic. There's one on caregiver stress. So there's a number of, I'm not sure if that's for the caregiver or being the recipient of caregiving, but there's a number of meditations she offers that I'm looking at right now that might be valuable for you. And I hear what I just have a suspicion that slowing your thoughts down is going to go a long way. Doing anything you can to think slower, more deliberately, and a good routine of, doing something calm like meditation that's also kind of an exercise. It's kind of like yoga for your brain, slowing it down, being consciously aware of what you're devoting brain cells towards. That's what meditation is. I know it's hard. I don't like meditating just by myself with nothing. That's why I really like these guided meditations I've sent you by Bella Ruth. She makes it so easy. She has this calm, soothing voice. She's got this just grandmotherly quality to her voice, very warm, soothing, and she's great at what she does. I wish I could wave a magic wand and fix your problems. I can't do it, of course. But I'm trying to give you some food for thought on ways you might be able to improve your situation. And I really believe meditation is probably the one thing I would say if you're dealing with, now I'm not a doctor, I don't, just a guy who's done some meditation, and I've seen it pull me out of some really strange times. And I'm just sensing that meditation is probably going to be pretty valuable for you. And I really like these that Bella Ruth does. They're very powerful. And the books we talked about may or may not help. I don't know. But I think Kai Lucas Zachary was right that you don't have to pick a side just because people are lying to you. A lie might help you to envision it as like a ghost. It's not really there. It's just like something. Words are just words. People can lie all they want. You don't have to pick a side if you don't need to. Now, if you're in danger, if your mom is trying to mess things up, then yeah, it's good to be aware of that and be careful. But let's celebrate that this is bringing you, even if it's just a little bit, it's bringing you closer to your dad, and that's got to feel good. I'm just trying to focus on some positive things here. Your parents clearly care for you because they've offered to let you come live with them and work on the farm. It sounds like maybe a really healthy environment being on a farm for what you're going through in life right now. Seems like a very calm environment. So there are some positives I'm hearing. But my friend, I really feel like slowing it down is going to be good for you.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to give it a try.
Maybe some breathing exercises. I like the 5-5-5 rule because it's the easiest to remember. In by nose, 5 seconds. Hold it for 5 seconds. And then out by mouth for 5 seconds. 5-5-5. In by nose, out by mouth. 10 repetitions can make you feel like a totally different person. So I don't know what the solution is for you in the long run, but I've tried my best to give you a couple little things that have helped me through hard times. And I'm really sorry to hear your story, my friend. You've been through a lot. Don't go back to those drugs. That's empty. There's nothing there. It's not even real. Breathing
Right.
is real. That's real. Family, that's real. Family sucks sometimes, but it's real, and they clearly care about you. I hope you get to the bottom of where the confusion's coming from. I hope you get some answers on that. But if you don't, it's okay. And meditation can help with that. And the books, if they end up being relevant for your situation, can be very empowering to your situation, for you. So I'm going to be thinking about you, because you're going through the thick of it. And I'm really glad you called, because I think you needed to vent about this. But don't go back to those drugs. Don't do that. There's nothing there for you.
I'll try.
Would love to hear a call again from you. Would you call us in a couple weeks and update us on how things are going? I'd like to encourage you to, I don't want to tell you to spend money on meditations, but I really feel like I'm not asking you to commit to anything, but would you try doing some kind of meditation? You can also find guided meditation for free. There are free options available. I need to probably find a good resource that we can link people to that are free. But would you commit to doing some kind of guided meditation and then calling us, trying to do that every day for a little bit of time, even if that's all you can do, and then update us in a couple weeks on how that's going and how that's changed things? Could you do that, even if it's a free option?
Yeah, I'd definitely be willing to try something like that. Like, if I'm actually really willing to just completely end it all, I really don't see any reason not to. Because if it's my last attempt, then I might as well at least give an attempt.
That's right. Give it everything.
But yeah, I'm definitely willing to give it all a try. I'll have to look into it.
Okay. Link is in the chat for you to Bella Ruth Naprostek. It's about $12 per guided meditation. I don't know if you can swing that right now or not, but once you pay that, it's yours forever. And some of them that I've listened to over 100 times. They never get old. They're amazing. So if you can swing $12 for a meditation, I can say they've helped me a lot. But there are free options you can Google and find. I don't know if those are any good. I can't speak to those, but I'm sure there must be good ones on YouTube or something. I just really like the ones by Bella Ruth because she makes it so easy. I didn't like meditating either until I found these. These are great. But I feel like taking it slow is going to be good for you, and maybe committing to the idea that you don't have to commit to these lies in general. You don't have to get to the bottom of what was true and what wasn't true. Maybe don't get caught up in those patterns, because that could be really stressful. And I hear that you want to reduce that stress. You don't want to add to it. So maybe you don't have to figure it all out. Maybe you can just exist. Are you okay?
Well, I appreciate everything you've told me.
Okay. Are we going to hear from you in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I'll have to give you a call.
Okay, good. Work on breathing. 5-5-5. Slowing it down. And maybe some meditating. I think that might help. I'm not an expert, but I've seen it help me. It helps me a lot when I'm stressed. So I'm going to be thinking of you, and I'm looking forward to hearing a good update in 2 weeks. No drugs.
Yeah.
You're cleansing your mind right now after a long history of being in hospitals and dealing with drugs. You've been given this beautiful opportunity to cleanse your mind, living on the farm in a peaceful setting. I understand it's not all peaceful, but nowhere is entirely peaceful. There's problems everywhere,
Right.
every day. You've been given this beautiful opportunity to cleanse your mind, and you can do that by breathing consciously, do it by meditating, reading some good books. Take that opportunity. Stay away from the drugs.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you called, my friend. Call again in a couple weeks. It doesn't have to be a specific day or a specific time, but I think if you would be curious to hear an update after a couple weeks of some conscious effort to calm it down and neutralize the situation. So I'm glad you're going to call us back in a couple weeks. Looking forward to that.
All right, well, thanks for the talk and everything.
Of course. Take care of yourself. Good night.
Good night.
Wow. Beautiful. Life is beautiful. Difficult. Beautiful. Thank you guys for being here. We went a little late tonight. These streams are the highlight of my week, giving people a place to just share what's on their mind. Got to some heavy stuff tonight. You're not alone. Nobody here is alone. We're all here together. I love this community. What a beautiful community. I couldn't have imagined that it would turn into what it's turned into. Even though that, none of this is, I don't care if this show is ever popular, if this isn't even a show, there's nothing to show. But the community that it's built is just so beautiful. And I love it. So thank you guys for being here with me week in, week out. Thank you to our mods. Our mods are awesome. Tonight we had Deanna Krebs and Raymag. And I believe it was just the two of you in here tonight. Thank you guys so much for all you do. The mods do so much. And it's been a wild week. It's been a wild couple months, actually, in the Discord, behind the scenes. So thank you to the mods for all you do. I also see King's Pawn, and it looks like Offcore popped in. So thank you guys. We do these streams once a week now on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. We have a Discord server. Is the link bad, guys? Did the link expire? Did I see that earlier? Is it a bad link in the description, or was it just some kind of error? Let's see. Let's test it. Is the link working for anybody? I actually don't have easy access to the video description because I'm in the streaming tab. Let's see if I can get to it. Yeah, it's working for me. Okay. That does it for me tonight, guys. Thank you for being here. I will see you on a week from today at 10 p.m. Eastern. I will see you then. Everybody have a great week and take care. Good night.